If they want to transfer and go someplace to play where they are playing, the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, that they should be allowed to do it and that the NCAA should allow it immediately and the schools should allow it immediately. Jalen Rose, what do you think?
I want to make sure my stance is clear so there's no waffling. This is how I feel about the entire scenario as it relates to collegiate athletics playing during a pandemic, understanding that COVID-19 does exist and therefore the lingering effects of those that catch it may end up in lawsuits in the future. If you feel you want to play football as a collegiate athlete, that's your right. I support you. As a conference and coaches, if you want them to play, that's fine. But if other students aren't allowed to be on campus, that means you're now treating them like employees. And from what I know, employees get the opportunity, if they're not essential workers in theory, to decide in this climate if they feel comfortable at going to work or not. So therefore, if you want them to come to work, pay them. Pay them. And yes, therefore, if they're not being paid, you should be able to transfer. If one of the big-time coaches got a job this offseason for $10 million a year, guess what he will be doing? Coaching somewhere else and not having to sit out. So I absolutely do believe if they're not being paid and they want to play and their conference isn't playing, they should be allowed to transfer.
You know what? That is Desmond, go ahead.
No, I mean, Jalen, Jalen, you made too much sense right there. You know, I mean, it was just too perfect because that's exactly the scenario in which I've been thinking about too. Because you and I both know the NCAA, they want to hold on to this amateurism title, this whole amateurism charade with both hands as tight as they possibly can for as long as they possibly can because they don't want to pay the athletes, the student athletes. So I agree. I believe that under these circumstances, that these players should have an opportunity to transfer immediately to give themselves the best chance possible to get in the best position to be drafted. That's what they want to do. Of course, they want an education, but if you're playing a team sport like football, like basketball, what have you, you also want an opportunity to get drafted, to go to the next level. So I think they should make that statement today that these players can transfer.
You know, Jalen, sometimes your wisdom, I think really is remarkable. Let's just analyze that. The way you broke it down is exceptional. What basically has been decided, at least as of this moment, is that these athletes are going to be there to play voluntarily, but they're going to be there to play during the pandemic when the rest of the student, in many cases, the rest of the student body is not. And in the cases where the school has decided they're not going to play, those players are not going to be allowed to go transfer without penalty, without hardship, which is what losing a season would obviously be, because of other existing rules that take place. I mean, you really, when you break it down that way, it defies logic. It is not defensible. I will agree with you completely. It is not. I can think of no defense or legitimate argument against what you just said.
That's why for 25 years I've called the system indentured servitude. Like for so long, many people felt like the athletes should just shut up and be happy that they got a scholarship. And then all of a sudden we started to pay attention that these colleges are actually raking in money hand over fist. And so are the coaches, and so are the television networks. There's big business in collegiate sports, but the athletes don't participate. And so now you want me to come to work, because that's what this is, but not pay me in any way, shape, or form. But guess what happens after practice, Greeny? Where do I go then? Where do I go then? I remember being a member of the Fab Five, Des, playing in the national championship, and we weren't allowed to keep our apartments over the summer. I wasn't allowed to keep my dorm room over the summer.
That's right.
Right after we played the national championship game, I was back at my mother's house in the hood. And I was trying to escape from there, okay? And so this idea that Student comes before athlete. I was an honor roll student in high school. I actually graduated from college. But you know what I wanted more than a college degree? To go